Good morning, students, and welcome to the class. In the previous class, we were discussing about the result of the fifth general election and also the result of the state assemblies elections. And we have seen that in the Lok Sabha election, in the fifth Lok Sabha election, the Congress are emerged as victorious, and its opponent, the condition of the opposition party of Congress was very bad. They were not able to win any substantial number of seats, and we have also seen that how the influence of Indira Gandhi increased after this 1971 war with Pakistan, and this proved her statesmanship, and not only in the national politics but in international politics also her influence was increased to a great extent. Because of this war, the diplomacy and the statesmanship which was shown by Mrs. Gandhi was admired by the people, and we saw that after this war, the war happened in the year 1971 in the month of December, and after this in February 1972 state assembly elections were held, and we saw that in these state assembly election, Congress was in a winning situation. It was able to win the majority seats in almost all the states. So we see that we can say that it was like restoration of the Congress system. Why this was restoration? Because we have seen that in the first three elections, that was Lok Sabha election and state assemblies election, in both these elections the Congress was at a dominant position. But after the death of Nehru and in the year of decade, so many problems arose, because of which the position of Congress was unstable in the fourth general election, and that was the period when Congress was facing challenges from the opposition party as well as from within. The challenge was two types of challenge which was faced by Congress. The first was from the opposition parties, because they were now making alliance in order to defeat Congress. And the another challenge which was faced by Congress was from within, and we have seen that this challenge which was coming from within was more harmful, because it led to the division of Congress, the split of Congress. And we saw that in 1969 the event was the election of the president, and the situation was such that it led to the split of the Congress party, and now the Congress was divided into two parts, Congress O and Congress R. So these were the challenges that Congress system was facing at that time. But we saw that Indira Gandhi, she was very conscious of her socialist image. She was presenting before the people herself as a socialist leader, and the Congress R as socialist party, and her main focus was the poor people. Her main focus was to gain the support of the poor people, because poor people were in majority. And in this way we saw first of all her pro-poor policies, her socialist moves like sealing on the property in urban areas, then sealing on land in rural areas, then nationalization of banks, then decision to abolish the privy purse. So all these moves helped her in gaining the support of the poor people of the country, in gaining the support of the mass of the country. And on the other hand, we saw that her the diplomacy which was used by her in the East Pakistan and West Pakistan problem was very admirable. Even the opposition parties in the country admired her statesmanship. So this is another important achievement of Indira Gandhi, which paved the way for the restoration. And we see the result of state assemblies election which held after the war of 1971, and in these elections Congress was able to form its government in most of the states. So we can say that now the Congress party was Congress system, not party. At that time I told you Congress system was there, because Congress was everything in itself. It was a ruling party as well as an opposition party. It was playing the role of both the parties, and it has left nothing for the opposition party. So this Congress system was again restored. If we see the number of seats in Lok Sabha, we find that yes, the number of seats has increased a lot. In fact, Congress was able to get more seats with Congress with CPI, not alone. Congress with CPI was able to win more seats than it won in the previous 3 elections. And not only this, we see that from 3rd election it started that in many states Congress was losing its ruling party status. But now in the 5th general election, in the 5th state assemblies election, that condition was revived, and now Congress was ruling in almost all the states. Okay, so we can say that after the result of 1970 Lok Sabha election and 1972 assembly election, the Congress system was restored. Okay, so this was the restoration of Congress system, but this was not the actual restoration. If we see very minutely, what we find that though it was a very good thing that Congress was able to win more seats in Lok Sabha, and in almost all the states Congress was in the ruling party status. But what we find that nature of Congress was changed. If we compare the nature of Congress, which was there in the first 3 general elections, and now in the 5th general election, at this time, the nature of Congress, we find that the nature of Congress has transformed a lot. There were so many differences we can recognize between these two Congress systems. For example, first of all, we will see that in the first 3 general election, at that time, Congress system was very powerful, and its organization was also very powerful, and the leadership was highly democratic at that time. Okay, and it's not that only the party was there only for one leader. Okay, now what we find that during the time of Indira Gandhi, the popularity of the supreme leader became most important. Even during the first 3 elections, Pandit Nehru was there, but his leadership and Indira Gandhi's leadership, there is very basic difference between the leadership of these two leaders. What we find that the leadership of Indira Gandhi was not democratic. It was not based on the principles of democracy, because we see that the influence, the dominance which was there of the supreme leader, this type of influence and dominance was not there during the time of Pandit Nehru. Not only this, we find that the Congress of Indira was not ready to accommodate different interest and different ideology. It was not there to accommodate. It was only representing a particular ideology, that was socialist ideology. And if we compare this with the Congress of Nehru, we find that the Congress at that time was ready to accommodate any ideology, any interest, and it was a coalition. As we have seen, it was actually a coalition of social groups and ideological groups. But now this coalition nature has completely abolished, and there was no factions were also not there in the Congress, क्योंकि अब फैक्शन के लिए जगह नहीं थी. अब इतना फ्रीडम कांग्रेस के अंदर नहीं था कि फैक्शंस अलाउड होंगे. अब फैक्शनलिज्म को सप्रेस किया जाता था. बट एट द टाइम ऑफ नेहरू वी सी दैट फैक्शनलिज्म वाज एनकरेज्ड, and that was the strength of Congress, real strength of Congress. But now it was only the leadership. It was only the we can say it that only the whole party was dependent on one leader. Other than that one leader, nothing was there. But at the time of Nehru, this was not the situation. Moreover, the organization has also become weak. This organization was very strong at the time of Nehru. So these are the various differences what we find between the Congress system which was prevailing during the time of Nehru and now at the time of Indira Gandhi. And now we also find that if we see ideology was socialism, and the groups which were supporting Congress, that group also become very limited. Only the Adivasi, the Dalits, and then the minorities, all these people were the supporters of Congress. And this is actually limited the nature of the Congress. And when we compare this with the Congress of the first three general election, we find that at that time the conflicting social groups were the supporters of Congress. Like the mill worker and the mill owner, both were the member of Congress. The landless laborer and the zamindar, both were the members of Congress. But now this nature was abolished completely, and we see that because of this dominating nature of the leadership, what happened that so many new type of problems arose, and that led to the end of democracy for a very temporary period. But that happened in our country, and we will discuss all these things in the next chapter. Okay, so now we have completed our chapter. Now we have to discuss some cartoons which are given in your book, and these cartoons are very sarcastic, and you must understand these cartoons, and these are important from your examination point of view also. So now we will discuss these cartoons by looking at your book. So this is your chapter, which is started with this picture. You can see it here. There are two bullocks and a plow. Actually, this was the symbol of Congress party uh, during the first general election. And we see that in the first year, you can see the bulls are very happy. They are happily plowing the field. Okay. And then we see after 9 years, still they are plowing the field, but they are not in a very happy mood. And if we see it after 17 years, what happens that both the bullocks are moving in opposite direction. It means that the problem or the factionalism started to grow in Congress in such a manner that it was causing trouble for the political party. Okay. And now after 22 years, what happened that these two poles are opposite to each other. They are just going to fight. They are fighting with each other. And these two pictures, which we see here, after the picture of 17 years and the picture of 22 years, these two pictures are showing the challenges which the Congress system was facing during this period. And the last picture is showing the split, which I told you during the election of president in 1969. Such situation arose which led to the split in the Congress. So the chapter starts with this picture, and after this picture, this is showing the void. The void was why this void was created because of the death of Nehru. Then we will see uh, some other cartoons are there. This is the cartoon in which what is shown, you can see this is Mrs. Gandhi, and she has won the race, and she has won the trophy of race, and the trophy is the post of prime minister. And you can see Morarji Desai, Desai, who is still running. He is still running the race, and Indira Gandhi has actually won the race. This was why this happened, because the senior leaders, all these are the senior and influential leaders of the Congress party. All these senior leaders are supporting the candidature of Mrs. Indira Gandhi. And the reason I told you, because they thought that the Congress was facing so many problems at that time that Mrs. Gandhi was so unexperienced that she will not be able to tackle the situation, and the actual decision making power will be in the hands of these senior leaders. So, keeping this in mind, these senior leaders voted for Mrs. Gandhi for the post of Prime Minister, and they did not vote for Morarji Desai. And now this is the map of India. It is showing the result of assembly elections of 1967, in which the yellow colored states are depicting those states where Congress got majority, and the red colored states are those states where Congress did not get a majority. So you can see the number of red states are very increasing if we compare it with the last three general elections. Okay, now this is the cartoon of actually it was an alliance of United Front. The name of the alliance was United Front, and it was an alliance of non-communist parties. The communists are, I told you, the socialist, all are leftist party. Their ideology belongs to leftist ideology. And what is leftist ideology? Leftist ideology is that these parties, these communist and socialist people are pro-poor. They make all the decisions by taking into consideration the interest of the poor, and they want that the economy should be in the control of the state, so that the state can control the economy uh, in the interest of the poor people. So this is an alliance of non-communist parties. Okay, alliance of non-communist party, and the name of the alliance was United Front, and it was made by Chaudhry Charan Singh, in the year 1974. And as they all are non-communist, so they are, you can see it here. The signboard is saying keep right, no left turn. It means they all are rightist party, they all are non-communist party, and they are together because they want to be rightist, and they are not supporting leftist ideology. Then you can see it's Ayaram Gayaram. I told you we have discussed this about one MLA of Haryana, Gayalal, who changed his party 3 times in a fortnight. So this is Ayaram Gayaram Hairam. Hairam means such a situation was prevailing in the political parties. Such level of defection was taking place among the political leaders. And then we will see this is the picture of this is depicting the presidential election of 1969. You can see the winner is V.V. Giri. We know that V.V. Giri was the independent candidate for the post of president, and this who has lost the game is the official candidate of the Congress party, and his name is Neelam Sanjeeva Reddy. And the person who is sitting on his knees and is very upset with the performance of the official candidate of the Congress, this person is the party president of the Congress, and his name is, I told you, Nizlingappa. Nizlingappa is the name of the party president, and he is very upset with this performance of the uh, official candidate of the Congress party. Okay, and now you can see this is Mrs. Gandhi, and her right hand is at the proper place, but just observe her left hand. She is also wearing a boxing gloves. This is the presidential election is depicted through the match of boxing. Okay, this match of boxing is going on between V.V. Giri and Neelam Sanjeeva Reddy. Okay, and in this election, though it seemed from outside that V.V. Giri is fighting alone, he is an independent candidate. He was not having any kind of support from any political party. He was an independent candidate, but actually Indira Gandhi was supporting her, and this her left hand, which she is putting behind, which she is hiding from the people. This shows that the hidden support given by Indira Gandhi to V.V. Giri, and because of this hidden support only, V.V. Giri was able to win the election. Okay. Now we will see, this is the picture of how Indira Gandhi's conflict was there with the syndicate, the senior and influential leaders of the Congress party. And as she was a female prime minister, so it was shown like she has the recipe. She has the recipe book in her hand, and she is preparing a very special dish, and this is the end of syndicate. So she has planned everything how to do and what to do. Now you can see this is the result. This is showing, this picture is showing the result of the 1970 election. Okay, 1971. The dissolution of the house was, the decision to dissolve the house was taken in 1970, but the elections held in the month of February in 1971. And in this election there was people, and not only people but all the leaders were of the opinion that Congress R is going to show a very poor performance in the election, because it was a very new party. The leader was also new and inexperienced. Moreover, what happened that all the opposition parties, they have make an alliance that was called Grand Alliance, and it was hoped that in the election the Congress R will lose the not only lose the election, but it will also not be able to win uh, a significant number of seats. But what happened, actually what happened, that was completely opposite the expectation of the people. What happened that Congress R was able to win more seats than it have won in the first three general election. These elections, these seats were won with the Communist Party of India, because Congress are had an alliance with CPI, and in this way we can see that Indira Gandhi is at all the place, first, second, third, because if you compare the seats, you will see that Congress R plus CPI won 375 seats. Okay, and the Grand Alliance was able to win 40 seats, and the Congress O was able to win only 16 seats. So, what is this? The Congress R was at all the places, first, second, third, all the ranks has been achieved by Congress R. And this election, the result of this election proved that Congress R was the real Congress, not the Congress O. But previously it was thought that Congress O was the real Congress. But now it has been established that Congress R was the real Congress. And this is also showing the result of the state assembly elections, in which Congress became victorious. And in almost all the states, Congress government was formed. And in this, you can see the Mrs. Gandhi has won the election, which is depicted by this trophy, and with whose support, with the support of the poor people, only she was able to win the election. She was able to win the election because she has started many programs for the removal of poverty. So, poor people's support was the most important reason for the victory of Congress. And now this is the um, picture which is showing the undemocratic way of choosing the chief ministers of different states. This shows the dominating position held by Mrs. Gandhi in the party. The whole party was revolving around only single personality, that was Mrs. Indira Gandhi. And it was nothing to do with the people's aspiration or anything like that. It was only the desire of the prime minister to whom to make the chief minister. So in this way the decisions were taken. The decision was highly centralized. It was not decentralized, it was highly centralized, and a group of a very small group, and in that group also the domination of one person was prevailing. So this is the showing the undemocratic way of the party system that was working at that time. So thus we have come to the we have ended the chapter completely, and now in the next class we will start a new chapter.